a scholar and a practitioner. And so that goes back, I would say, since her first years in college. And so one of the reasons we brought her out here is because she could talk about what it's like to be a college student and getting involved in politics and social movements. She was actually one of the first, I believe, the second student body president, or first student body president, second. First female, there it is. First female student body president at Taida to be elected. And
students here, good morning. It's really my pleasure to be here. And actually, I'm still kind of in the jet lag, so I'm not sure whether I can speak in English, fluently. So, but actually, I think that probably most of you don't speak Mandarin, right? So I will still stick with the English. But Jianting promised me that he can be in rescue when I'm kind of in trouble. So yeah, this is the topic I'm going to share with you, from wild lily to sunflower. And just like Karis mentioned, I'm involved in the so-called new politics or new third political force in Taiwan. I think from my training, all history starts from personal history. So I will use my own personal journey to give you a sense of what's going on in Taiwan in the recent history of democratic transition and the new emerging political force. Yeah, just like he mentioned, this is one of the photos my volunteer photographer took when I was visiting the street market in Taiwan. I'm kind of, as you say, that I'm running as the legislative member for the Social Democratic Party. So you might be asking why, I want to join this campaign as a professor. Actually now the politicians in Taiwan, they don't have a good reputation. Although professors don't have a good reputation too, but compared to politicians, yeah, still better. So, okay. So why I become, be there. Okay, this is the story begin. Yeah. I would say that it's for a just society, for a better Taiwan, and very important for a younger generation. That's the dream that I'm pursuing. So, but why I want to why I want to be involved? That's because I believe a just society and a better Taiwan is possible from our own personal involvement. So actually, the story started when I was a freshman in college. I'm sure you are all the college student, right? So is there any freshman right now? Could you raise your hand? Okay. Yeah, so my story starts just like, your age, No? Okay. I really remember, actually when I was a freshman at the National Taiwan University, one day I was passing through the so-called Yanling Dadao, the main street on Taida. And I was a bit confused, because I think the college is not what I think of. I think college should be full of the enthusiastic students pursuing knowledge. But actually, Taida, when I entered, the students only care about the party. Maybe the students, she will always care about the party. By that time, I think it's kind of weird. I was a sociology major, but no senior students in my department, they know about what is sociology. So I kind of disappointed until one day, when I was walking on the main street of my college, I listened to a song about I call the Formosa 美丽岛, because that day there's the first student protest on campus. They were pursuing the freedom of speech on campus. So actually that's the illegal event, but at that time I didn't know it's an illegal event. But from the students talking, I sort of understand that actually the intellectual atmosphere there and the freedom they're talking about is something that my dream about a college should look like. So but at that time the students, they say they are going to end the protest with a song called the Formosa 美丽岛, the treasure island, just like the title today. I was a bit shocked. Why I was a bit shocked? Because Formosa at that time actually is a forbidden land. because we have the Formosa incident. It means that actually the Taiwanese democracy protests, they were put into prison because of the Formosa incident. So for me, Formosa actually is a forbidden land, it's a taboo. And Formosa, these three characters, Meilidao, it sounds like a Taiwan Independence to me. And was actually that year is 1986. It's 1 year before the lifting of martial law. And I was in high school, actually. Most of the high school in Taiwan, we never talk about Taiwan history. And so for me, Formosa is Taiwan Independence. Taiwan Independence means the Communist Party. So it's kind of weird, right? Because in that time, we will say that Taidu Gongchandang, they are and the democracy movement, the Communist Party and democracy movement, they are the central the enemy, how to say that, the triple enemy, because they are the same people, they try to shake the Taiwan's, stability, shake the Taiwan's stability. So for me, it's kind of, something I don't like, but I just continue to listen to the song. Have you ever, any of you heard about the song Formosa? Meilidao. So the song sounds like, I remember the ending phrases are 水牛稻米香蕉玉兰花. It's about the banana, and also the famous Taiwanese local flower, and the land and the field. So it's quite beautiful. So I think the phrase, I was a bit shocked about why the student they were pursuing something I like, but why they look like too political to me, because they are maybe pro-Taiwan independence. But when they start to sing the song, because I came from the countryside outside the Taipei city, so for me those language actually echo my kind of hometown. So I feel like, actually I shouldn't, maybe I should go to see, what's going on. They are those the students that I should be in touch with. So I think, and then later I joined a student club called the name doesn't important, So I start to read classic because it's a study group. The student group actually, they are organizing all the student protests. Most of them are starting study group. So I start to read classic like a Marxism and like a Weber, the sociology master. And that's the first time I also start to read the real history of Taiwan, like start to learn about what's the February 28 incident. This kind of, the real history I never learned when I was a high school student. So my journey of political enlightenment started. So I just, very involved in those, students' club. And then, we start to ask some question like, what kind of university we want? Because, why we are not allowed to have a gathering in the street of the campus? Because the university official will say that actually you can have a talk on campus, but you just cannot use the microphone. And we were kind of curious that why the folks club, folk dancing club, they can have a party on campus, using the microphone. But when you start to talk some political talk, you just cannot use the microphone. So there are lots of ridiculous things. And also why the newspapers, they are not allowed to print if they talk about something like the direct election of student body, this is an issue. And the university official will tell you that if the Taida is the top university in Taiwan, can elect the student's president directly, then Taiwanese people will ask why they cannot elect president directly. So it's all the, we say, okay, now the problem on campus, we are not allowed to have the freedom of speech, is that, we cannot have democracy in Taiwan. So actually the campus issue is part of the Taiwan's political issue, the Taiwan's democracy issue too. So then, we are forced to ask the question, what kind of politics we want as, our teachers. At that time, we are not allowed to say ourselves Taiwanese. It will sound like, we are pro-Taiwan independence. And if you are pro-Taiwan independence or Taiwan independent, actually you might be allied with the Communist Party. The Communist Party trying to just kind of some political argument at that time. And then when we start to ask what kind of politics we want, if we want something like democracy that we learn from the textbook, the Western democracy, And then the government will tell you that, actually, democracy is not suited for the Taiwan situation because Taiwan is part of China. And, because Taiwan is part of China, so the Congress, why it's not directly elected by Taiwanese people is because we are going to, go back to China. So the Congress should not be elected directly in Taiwan. So, we are forced to ask the question, what kind of country we want? If we want the, unified China, then, probably we should postpone our democracy until we go back to the mainland China. But if we want the Taiwan independence, then we can have a direct democracy right now. But can we postpone the question that whether we want to have a unified China or an independent Taiwan later, and then we can have a de facto democracy right now? So that, that kind of question are all, intertwined together. That, you kind of, cannot answer the real question. But later on, we have a more realistic view about Taiwan's politics. We say maybe we want, have a unified China, in the 50 years later. But, right now we should have, a politics that can represent our current view in Taiwan. So that's at least that's the answer for us, at that time. So, for us, we think about, no matter what we want in the future, actually we want to have a democratic campus. So that's a picture, taken in 1988 when I was like a sophomore. That's the protest. Students want the freedom of speech, and we want the direct election for our students' bodies of democracy. So actually, we got some result. Just like the Karis mentioned, I'm the second directly elected student body president at that time, and the first female one. So we got, something we wanted at that time because, we do some survey on campus. Actually, we were getting the students, with positive response that, we should have a democratically elected campus election at that time. So, yeah, but actually some students, they got punished because, they were saying that they were the organizers of all the illegal protests at that time. Yeah, although we tried to use the balloon, to signal that actually it's the happiness of the protest. We don't want students to feel alienated because before those protests, actually the students, will look like they are too political. For example, the hunger strike, they want, they use the hunger strike to, symbolize that, why can we have the freedom of speech? But most of the Taiwan students will feel it's too political. So later we changed the strategy to use the more, happy atmosphere to make it more appealing to the students. Okay. Then, later on I became, the frontier because at that time later on I became the leader of my student club. And then, we don't have enough, capable candidate to run the election. So I was forced to be the frontier in 1989 when I was the, senior, when I was about to become a senior student on campus. And then I was got into the newspaper because, my student grade was too low, to be a candidate. And then, because I'm the only candidate at that time, so our student could decide to, we don't want to pay attention to the university rule because, if it's a student's president, the student have the right to decide whether they want to choose a low GPA candidate. But the university, they decide to stick to the rule. So just right before the election day, like 10 days before, they claim it's an illegal student election. So actually all our activities were canceled. We are not allowed to use the conference room like this. But students managed to do that because before me, there's already a first elected president, right? So he should stand, with all the students' self-governance. So actually, but I think, my low GPA helped me to mobilize the votes, because many students, they came to me and say, oh, they also have a low GPA, so they can sympathize with me. Okay, yeah, so the turnout is really good. The KMD candidate was, heavily defeated by us because, we say if you are, they should be let the student decide, whether they want this candidate or not. if they don't want the low GPA candidate, they can vote no, right? They can vote for another candidate. But the university has no